Johnny Murray here, and today we're going to be talking about the Silent Hill 2 remake. Now, this remake I have a lot of thoughts on, but this is a huge survival horror game franchise that is coming back, releasing October 8th of this year, and it was just shown at the PlayStation State of Play for the second time. The first time they showed the game, in my opinion, it did not look good. It looked pretty rough, and it looked quite bad, to be honest with you. And they showed it this time around. I do think there are some minor improvements, but I am not super excited for. I have a lot of issues with what I've seen, but I will say before we even start that what they showed at the State of Play did not do it justice, because they had a Silent Hill transmission, which was like a Silent Hill event right afterwards, where they showed like 13 minutes of gameplay and went more in depth on it, and I think that looked much better, but it also opened my eyes to what exactly my problems of the game are, and I think I want to go ahead and talk about that today. But if you guys love gaming, if you guys want to stay up to date, just hear my thoughts on things, want to watch videos covering all these events happening, especially within these next 2 weeks, consider subscribing, share with your friends, leave a like, comment. What is your thoughts and expectations for Silent Hill 2? I'd love to know, but let's get to it. So like I said, my overall thoughts, I'm really mixed on it. I'm very mixed on it, to the point where I'm slightly negative towards it, because there are a lot of issues and complaints and worries that I have about the game. But before we get into those, why am I excited for this game? Because at the end of the day, this is a big game, and there is still a part of me that is excited for the game. And why am I excited? Well, number one, it's because of the reputation that Silent Hill 2 gets from fans across the world and from players. People say it's just one of the best survival horror games of all time, if not the best. And it is held in such high regards for being an absolute classic. It's just something I want to be able to experience. And that, at the end of the day, that is still why I'm excited for this game. Is I'm excited to experience the game. I just don't know if I'm excited for all the different aspects that the game has to offer. Another reason I am excited for it is because survival horror is one of my favorite genres at the moment, which might end up coming to bite me back later, which is something we're going to talk about. But survival horror is just awesome, and I think the horror elements in this game look really good. I think the atmosphere, which is the next part that I was going to get to of why I'm excited, the atmosphere, the just areas you go to, the enemies, the characters, they look interesting to the point where I want to go in this world and I want to experience it, and I want to experience the story. I don't really understand the story yet, but I don't think I will until I play the game. And then another reason I am excited for this game is because it is coming from the studio Bloober Team. I really love Bloober Team. I've loved a lot of the games they've made in the past. They've made some incredible horror games, including Blair's Witch, which I thought was pretty good. They've made Layers of Fear games, and they made The Medium, which I thought was excellent. And so I am really excited for this team to get a crack at one of the gaming's most high reputation franchises, being Silent Hill, especially since Konami hasn't really dropped a game in a long time. So seeing this is really, really awesome. But we have problems with the game. Number one, I think that this is easily my biggest complaint. I think it's the thing that's drawing me away from the game the most. I think the combat looks bad. And I'm just going to be blunt, just like that. I think it looks bad. I'm not going to say it looks rough. It looks a little janky. No, straight up, I think it looks bad. And I'm going to be showing footage on screen right now of what I'm talking about. When you get to certain enemy encounters, it almost just seems like the attacks are very, very similar animations. There's not much impact, and sometimes, whenever they're even, on the ground, or whenever you knock them down, it's like the weapon isn't actually connecting with the enemies. Sometimes it's just, kind of clipping into them, and then, they kind of do, this animation, or it doesn't even hit them at all, but then they still act like they got hit. It doesn't look crisp. It doesn't look satisfying. It just looks like you're wailing your arms, and enemies reacting to it. And I really don't like it. That is my biggest issue I have with the game right now, is its combat. And even then, the shooting looks better than the melee combat, I will say. But even then, I think so many other games have done shooting so much better. It's like, why is it not up to that standard? Like, shooting, like, I'm not asking you to create a new genre here. It's just shooting. But the big problem I have is the melee. I just think it looks super bland and unpolished. And like I said, I just think it looks bad. And now, all the negatives I say about this game are in the hopes of they can fix it or they can fine-tune it before the game's actually released, like I said, October 8th, which I am still looking forward to. But I do have a big problem with that. Another problem I have, I just think some of the things in the game, especially including some of the character models and rendering, look rough. I'm going to, again, put some pictures and videos on screen. You cannot tell me that some of these just look rough. And it is not up to par with what they kind of promised with next-gen features. And for it being a big remake and big PS5 exclusive, I just don't think it's up to par. It's up to the standard that we expect. And again, I'm just saying these things so we can possibly get some information from Bloober Team that they are going to fine-tune it and fix it before the official game's release. But even after that, I think there are just some scenes and some areas that I just think need more detail. Something just looks off. Something looks off in the game, and I've heard this from multiple people. I've heard it from multiple podcasts, multiple channels on YouTube. Something just looks off. Kind of Funny Games, one of the most watched gaming outlets on YouTube right now. Almost like all of them think something's off, and I agree with them. And a lot of people do. And even then, I think from what they showed this time around to what they showed last time isn't a huge difference. I'll be honest. I think people who think it looks so much better, I think are kind of just buying into a hype train. If you compare frame to frame, there's really not much different. I can see minor differences. Like, I think some of the animations look crisper. I think some of the lighting looks a little bit better, but there's really not much of a change from when we last saw it. But at the end of the day, I am still excited to experience this game. Like I said, atmosphere, the world, the reputation I've heard, Bloober Team, all of that excites me. So I am definitely looking forward to it. But I think this brings up a bigger conversation, and that is, what was my expectations for this? And I think there is a large argument, and I think there is both sides that I kind of agree with. I think, yes, for one fact, we've gotten so many amazing horror games, especially in the last 2 years. Resident Evil 4, Dead Space Remake, Alan Wake 2, all came out in 2023, by the way. That is crazy. 2023 is just a different level. But we've gotten so many great games. Even the Medium that came out in 2020, I think looked better than what Silent Hill 2 looks like. There are so many great horror games that, yes, I feel like a lot of people's expectations has kind of gone so high for survival horror games that when there's something that doesn't look better, it almost looks bad. And I think that is true to a certain extent. I think because Alan Wake 2 is my third favorite game of all time. Dead Space was one of my favorite games last year. Resident Evil is an all-time great. I think that does kind of make me not like what I'm seeing from Silent Hill 2 better. But the other side of the argument is, where's the standard? Because you can make the argument, oh, well, just because this is better doesn't mean that has to be better. Okay, so are we just okay with everything staying worse then? Or is there a standard? Because to me, while you don't have to necessarily be on par, there is a standard to look a certain way, to feel a certain way. And I personally don't think Silent Hill 2 is meeting some of those standards. Because the argument right here is why standards should and shouldn't be met. I think there is a difference between doing your own thing, being unique, being different, and meeting a standard. Unfortunately, whether people like it or not, Dead Space, Resident Evil 4, and Alan Wake 2, all three set a new standard. And the bottom line is, if you're releasing a survival horror game, You either meet that standard that has now been established through multiple games. It's not just one studio like From Software slapping across everybody else who tries it. Multiple studios, multiple franchises have met that standard, and if you are not going to meet that standard, then that is the conclusion. You do not meet the standard. I don't think something necessarily looks bad instantly if you don't meet the standard, but people will notice it. And I think that's what a lot of people, including the podcasts and channels that I've watched and heard talk about, it just looks like something that is coming out too late. I think one of my friends, Christian, he was one of the ones who actually said it looked a lot better, which, again, everybody can have their opinion. I'm just kind of doing my thoughts about it. I wanted to talk about it, so I'm here doing a video, and I do agree with his thoughts on it, and I understand his thoughts on it, as well as Austin's as well. No shade towards him. Christian even said that he thought it resembled Resident Evil 2 remake. And I do agree with that. I think it does look kind of like a Resident Evil, kind of like Resident Evil 2. But that's also my problem. Resident Evil 2 is a PS4 game that came out in 2019? Maybe 2019, I think. Maybe 2018. Is that the standard, guys? Because to me, this game looks like it can run on PS4. It just does. Is that the standard? Because to me, when I look at something like Alan Wake 2, I don't think that. Have we been spoiled with great games to where expectations have been shifted? Yes, we have. But at the same time, that goes with any genre. Any genre, expectations have been shifted. Because we are constantly moving forward in technology and game design that at some point you are going to have to meet a standard. And I think that is my biggest issue with Silent Hill 2. It's not that I'm not super high on it because I don't think it looks as good as something like Alan Wake 2. I'm a little mixed on it because I just don't think it's meeting what I expect from a survival horror game in 2024. And that's my argument. But nonetheless, if you are super excited for this game, I am all for you. I hope it's great. I hope my conclusion, I have it written in here. I have notes that I've been looking off of. I have it written in here. My conclusion is I am optimistic, but not excited. And that is what I'm going to leave it at. It releases October 8th. I'm excited to experience it. Or I don't even say I'm excited to experience it. I'm very interested to experience it. But I have issues that I hope are wrong by the time the game comes out. I will say this is a perfect October game, as I think all horror games are. I think horror games coming out in October are just perfect, so I think that's really cool. But yeah, let me guys know what you think of Silent Hill 2 down below. Again, I get all the different arguments, and I think both sides have very valid points. But at the end of the day, I can't convince myself that I think it looks good or that the way I see it is wrong. And yeah, just giving my thoughts. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Johnny Moore out. Peace.